Hello, John. Well, it's nice to meet you. Yes, great.
Dr. John Stedman is an expert on the history of Portsmouth at the time.
I mean, John, why would a bookbinder and a stationer leave London and come here to Portsmouth?
Well, Portsmouth was a boom town in 1814. All the businesses that prospered through the presence of the Navy needed paper and books. The Navy needed paper for its ships, its logs, books on navigation. So there were great opportunities for bookbinders and stationers in Portsmouth to the Navy.
Terrific then. He is a bookbinder, I can understand that.
But this period of prosperity was not to last. Just a year after the Blessed family moved to Portsmouth, Napoleon was defeated in the Battle of Waterloo. Britain's long war with the French was over.
Would that, I suppose, mean that business subsided in Portsmouth?
Very definitely. The government started laying off dockyard workers on an enormous scale. Ships are laid up. The amount of trade coming to Portsmouth businesses declines very dramatically.
I mean, was this have affected my Barnabas Blessed and his family?
I think it would have been a crisis. If he's running his own business, then he would have lost a lot of his custom.
I wonder how he fared. Well, I don't know what to expect now. I'm a bit concerned, a bit of trepidation, because, I mean, I just hope they didn't suffer as a family, you know, Barnabas and Elizabeth and their children. And being so brave coming all the way from London over here now to Portsmouth, and then the war, the Napoleonic War ends, and everyone seems to have been out of work. And why shouldn't they be out of work? And I don't want to come across a tragic story if I can help it. But, of course, if it is tragic, then you face it. But he seems such a great guy. Obviously, his wife was lovely, that lovely church, and that ceremony they had, now their children. I don't want to hear that anything untoward happened. And that's about it.
2 years after the end of the Napoleonic War, Barnabas and Elizabeth's son, Jabez, Brian's direct ancestor, was born in Portsmouth. St. Mary's Church has records relating to the family.
Well, well, well.
Welcome.
Hello there, nice to meet you.
You, sir.
Great.
Mine's Bob.
Great, yes, nice to
Pleased
see you.
to see
Nice
you.
to meet you, Bob.
Good, good.
Canon
Great.
Bob White is the vicar.
A big lad like myself. Bob, I'm keen to understand how the Blesseds got on, and I believe that you have a record of them.
We have some records that might help you to find that out. So if I open up the book,
Excellent, excellent.
shall I give you a bit
Well,
of
I can't
try around there,
Sorry.
around this line.
Elizabeth, and there's the surname, Blessed. Well, what does that imply?
And if you look at the top of the page,
Yes,
Brian,
yes,
it might give
yes.
you some indication as to what the records are.
Burials in the parish of Portsea in the county of Southampton in the year 1822. Oh, no. Is that poor Elizabeth died?
I'm afraid that's the record of her burial.
Oh, she's only 40 years old.
Yes, yeah.
How sad. Well, Barnabas, I mean, he's got to look after his... hasn't got a wife, and he's got 3 children. He's got Martha, Charles, and Jabez.
And I'm afraid there's another one. There are 4 children. We've got some records that aren't here,
Yeah.
but I've got a note of it of the birth of Elizabeth,
No.
who, as you can see, was born in 1820.
Elizabeth, born 1820.
So at the time of the older Elizabeth's death, she'd only been 2 years old. So there are 4 children, one of them who is only 2.
Right. What does this mean, father pauper?
Well, that describes the state that the family were in.
A pauper? Barnabas a pauper? Is that... You mean to tell me he's ended up as a pauper?
That's what the records seem to be suggesting. It means that they had no income, no finances, and they were entirely dependent upon the state, the parish.
Oh,
That,
Bob, I
life-
don't like this, Bob.
nothing I can do about it, I'm afraid. All we can do is acknowledge the records that they were paupers.
I mean, he was a great success in London. He had a shop and comes all the way to Portsmouth, and then he ends up a pauper and loses his wife. And he's now got 4 children, and one just 2 years old. Oh, poor man.
And there is more, I'm afraid.
Oh, no.
If we turn to another page, and it's the same burial register, and I'm afraid it's the same year, 1822.
1822, another burial. Take me down. Where is it? Point it out.
Roughly the same kind of...
What? Barnabas Blessed? What? 41 years? He dies as well?
He dies in the same year, about 6 months later on.
Oh, dear, dear.
And we're left with...
What? Oh, it's got
Four
four
children.
children. 4 kids.
4 kids in very poor conditions.
Losing your mum and dad inside 6 months. Incredibly sad.
And paupers.
And paupers.
Yeah. So they had nothing.
Wow. So when Elizabeth and Barnabas died, I mean, where would they be buried? Around here?
They'd have been buried outside in the churchyard, but there's no marks because paupers' graves were always unmarked.
Oh, yes, dear. Well, it's not what I expected.
No.
Thank you anyway. In a short time, I've travelled a great distance. It's started to have real meaning for me, this journey. And I know that Barnabas and Elizabeth are buried here somewhere amongst this grass here. I mean, they died at 40, 41, but you lived so much in that span of time. You experienced success and failure. And it's so peaceful here, and I feel they're resting, and I feel close to them. It's the first time I ever felt close to my roots. And I'm terribly moved. I just, one can feel them, one can feel them. I'd never felt this before in my life. It's tangible and real. But more than anything, I feel they're at peace and that I'm at peace with them.